All right. Wait, let's see. I didn't even put the names up, so let me do that. It's Ota Yuzo, Kuwahara Shusaku. Yeah, one of them is. And kind of interesting from game 21 to game 22. This is game 22 from Invincible. He's gone from 5 Dan to Shusaku. He's gone from 5 Dan level to Shusaku level. He's gone from 5 Dan to 6 Dan since then. And it's been like 2 years. I don't know why they skipped 2 years, but there's like a little paragraph before this game, and it talks about how he's officially became the heir to become Honimbo after Shuwa, and he also apparently married Joa's daughter, Hana. I didn't know about that. That's kind of interesting. But one thing that he was having an issue with was Ota Yuzo was 6 Dan also, and he was the only player that Shusaku hadn't been able to battle to even. So back then, you actually didn't play handicap based on your ranks. You played based on your results against one another, right? So just because you're both 6 Dan doesn't mean you necessarily play even. It's based on results. And so he was having trouble with Ota Yuzo. And then luckily, um, he got upgraded to 7 Dan, so I guess that made it a little less embarrassing. But this is one of their games. And I don't know why, but it seems like in all the Shusaku Yuzo games, they play interesting openings. Like, I mean, everyone probably expects to see A, right? That's what Shusaku always plays, but I don't know. It seems like he has a fun sort of mood when he plays against Ota Yuzo. So he plays here, which is a little interesting. And Yuzo always plays interesting moves too. Plays even a 5-4. Get Ryan to break the tree. But then Shusaku decides to be boring again. Um, we've had a couple games where he was White Vincent, but mostly just because he's always been the weaker player, at least, ostensibly, right, in terms of the rank. That's probably going to change towards the end of the book. There's 80 official games in here, and I guess we've officially finished 1/4 of them since we're on 21 now. So probably towards the end, we'll see him taking white a lot more. Yeah, so he just makes his little Shamari because he knows that he can still get one of the 2 corners, so that's fine. And Ota Yuzo plays here. This is pretty interesting choice because the 5-3 here puts emphasis on the left-hand side. So you could say that A is thinking about neutralizing this Shamari a little bit. And then Shusaku plays another 3-5. White encloses this corner. That's big. And now the question is, do we close our corner or do we approach this one? Shusaku decides to approach this one first because now if you look at this, we're threatening a nice pincer on the A stone, right? So white is really encouraged to respond here, and he does. So, he makes this extension, and then black ends up getting this anyway. Yeah. Um, Indeed. Yeah. Duke Daniel is onto something here. It almost looks like, black played here first and then white approached. We actually do get Taisha, someone said. White has a dumb Shamari. Are you talking about this one, Vincent? Yeah, I don't know if I would call it dumb, but it's definitely more, it's harder to make good since it's open on the right-hand side. Generally, this Shamari would be better. That is, B is better than C when you really want the influence on the bottom. But since this square stone is so low and settled and strong, that makes the bottom not that interesting. So I sort of agree that C would be better than B at this point. But you can still make B work. It's just a little harder. If white has K4, yeah, but K4 is not that interesting on this board, right? Because black's so strong in the lower left. Anyway, we get this Taisha situation. Yeah, the right does look big. But here, black doesn't go with the normal Taisha. He backs off and decides to do this. And the reason for that is because there's already a stone here, and that's just going to help in the fighting for white. So black doesn't really want to deal with that. So let's see what happens. He just does this instead. That allows white to capture. Then we get to Atari. Black or white Atari's back. Black captures. White takes the 3-3. This is actually still a sort of Joseki, by the way. Black connects, and white connects, and then black extends on the top. This extension looks a little narrow. That was one of the questions I had, and we'll look at that in a second. But first, let's go back. The commentator for this game was Kitani Minoru, a really famous Japanese player, right? White's left side isn't that great. Yeah, you could argue at this point that maybe the triangle is a little close, right, to these strong stones. So black's not necessarily unhappy. At the same time, it's really strong over there for white, and he's definitely got some nice points there. So Kitani pointed out that, if white played here immediately, and now he did this. Oh, whoops, sorry. Now black wouldn't play like this. He would just do the normal thing, right? So that's the difference. And there's also another variation here. White doesn't have to Atari. White can just take the 3-3 immediately. When black takes, white can extend, and you can get something like this. It's pretty similar. But in any case, they played like this. And with this wall, I would have expected a further extension, but he only comes to here. Kitani didn't say this is a mistake. I guess one thing you can say is that the A area is a 5-space extension, so that's not so bad. The one thing Kitani did point out is that if you play here, he thinks that white can play here later. And that can be somewhat annoying, right? Where's black's next move here? H15. Yeah, so if you try to cover, it's hard to answer this Hane, right? Because this Aji stone is going to end up being really, really good, right? Because it's covering that cut point, so white could actually come out. So it's not as easy as it looks to deal with that. So I guess that's why he played it pretty tightly here. Okay, so indeed the right side is the biggest, as Vincent mentioned. There's two choices, A or B. He goes with A in this case, but Kitani sort of made a case for playing B. Let's go forward a little bit first and see what happens. White's got one wing now, so black doesn't want him to get a double wing. Where do we play on bottom? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking that like Mr. Yang would probably say L4, to make a low-high relationship, but they tended to play pretty low. He played here to leave the two-space extension to A. Top left is so ugly. You're feeling that it's somewhat overconcentrated, or you just don't like the shape, Vincent? I wouldn't say it's beautiful. I guess one thing we can say is that black did Tanuki. So once we got to here, you can consider it as either 2 against 1, like locally, or if you look a little bigger, it's almost like a 3 against 1. And so we should expect white to get a better result here, but at least one of his 3 stones that he started with got damaged really badly, right? So we can't say that black's too bad there, but definitely white's probably better. So in the same way here, white doesn't want black to get a double wing. So white did get Sente. Good point. Do we go to A or do we go to B? Oh, is it not true? No, it was true. Okay, Fardwith says A. B4. Interesting. Yeah, you could probably try something like that. Leave it to Ruckus, by the way, I give 2 choices and he'll pick something else. Gotta love it. So Ota Yuzo plays this one. The reason is this group's so strong, right? Like we already talked about it. It's almost even maybe a little too close. Like C10 is maybe even a little too close. So since that's so strong, we can go all out here. And this leaves white a really nice follow-up move. Do you guys know where the vital point follow-up move is? Good, Vincent. Yeah, E5 is a vital point for pressing the bottom down and also for black raising the bottom. And we'll see that. It's an important vital point later. If you play here, it's stable, but you kind of added like something really solid to what was already solid. So maybe a little slow. So he plays here, and that allows black to get the last big side move. Where's that? Yeah, last big move on the side. R12, right. Good. So Kitani said it's a little painful for black to be able to get this move. Why did white pick left instead of right? Oh, good. I'm glad you asked that, Andy, because that's one of the diagrams that Kitani shows, and I probably was going to forget about it. So you're saying here, right? What about this one? Okay, yeah, so we need to look at that too. Okay, now I'm juggling too many things here. So let's go back first and take a look at this. So Kitani made sort of the case for this. And he said, now if black still plays on the bottom, white can play here and it's like perfect, right? We make the little 2-space extension in front of black's Shamari. So we've got like the A, Aji, we've got that same B vital point that we can depress the top with. So this would be really good. And if black just takes a 2-space extension here, now it's more narrow, right? He's getting a smaller extension. And white could switch to the bottom, again leaving a 2-space extension, also making an ideal 5-space here. And now if black comes in, white can jump out, and this area is still pretty narrow, right? So sure, black can come in here, but Kitani thought this fight was feasible for white. So it would be possible to play this way. So that's just like a choice. So now let's get back to Yo-Yo-Ma's question. So here, why did we choose the left side rather than the right side? Notice, by the way, that I know I would sort of like to see that too, Ruckus, so I could see his replies. I think it would be instructive. Notice the difference, by the way, between this one. Here we talked about how white was so strong, so we're going to play the faster move, right? We can afford to have a bit of thinness here, but on the right-hand side, we wouldn't normally do this, right? Because we know this part's already thin, so we're just making another thin one. So the more normal move would be here in this case. And actually, this seems like it's probably better, Kitani says. On the surface, this seems like it's better because if black extends on the left, it doesn't have much effect on white, right? We already talked about it. White's so strong. So sure, black got a little extension, but white's strong, so it didn't really affect him. Again, we're not going to do this one because that's just going to leave a problem. And white's really strong here, so that just would leave a problem. So typically black would play here. Now finally, the answer to Yo-Yo-Ma's question is that Kitani says black might find a better move. So I'll actually pose this as a problem. Since we know that white is really strong there, that's some information we have, right? So how do we, if he's really strong there, what can we do? Let's see if anyone figures this out. Oh, wow, you guys got it way quicker than I thought. Good, yeah. Since he's already strong, we can touch it, right? To try and make it over concentrated. So Kitani thinks maybe black could find this move, right? And so white would Hane and push. He thinks white has to play like this. And now there's two possible things that could happen here. If white stands up, which is sort of the vital point here, black can just easily play here and he's happy enough. So probably we have to reduce the bottom immediately. How do we do that? There's more than one way, but we can shoulder hit the low stone, right? So we can do this. Black peeps. Where's the next move here? Sort of middle game Joseki shape here. H6. H6 is pretty good. You can go actually a little faster. Yeah. You can make a table, or depending on the circumstances, you can even go a little faster here. What was Ruckus's move? J8. J8. Interesting. Yeah, so here you're essentially saying that you don't care about this one, so you'll give this one away. That might be possible in certain circumstances. We have the ladder. Okay, yeah, but you can't count on the ladder always being there, right? So you have to plan ahead too. Okay, so black will force here and then play like this. So Kitani suggested that maybe this would happen. And when I look at this, I can't really see that white's in a whole bunch of trouble here. I think he'll be okay. But this is just the diagram he showed, and maybe white doesn't want this. Then again, I mean, black's going to be able to invade the right side later, right, as he gets stronger in the center. But thanks for asking that, Yo-Yo-Ma, because I was probably going to forget that. So instead, we do this. White jumps up. This area is getting pretty interesting, right? So the way to reduce it is just one step at a time. We'll approach it from here. And let's see. Next, white goes for this reduction move. Because black has both sort of a double wing now, right? When we get this shape with double wings, this is a good place to reduce because we aim at two follow-up moves, either A or B. There's a particular move here that Mr. Yang always encourages me to play, or at least in a lot of circumstances, which is this move. This is actually the first time I've ever seen this move in a pro game, though. I've never actually seen this move played, except except when I played it. But he plays it in this case instead of the normal move. So let's take a look at what might happen here. White will attach here, right? This is a Sabaki situation. And since it's Sabaki situation, we're going to try and get forcing moves, right? We cross cut. Then we get a free Atari. Black can connect or capture. Let's say he captures. We get a free Atari. And we can extend. And clearly this shape isn't settled yet. And Kitani notes that black can aim at attacking here, but white has sort of a good answer here. He can just push along the right-hand side, putting pressure on this A-stone. So maybe he didn't like this too much. Yeah, that's pretty dangerous business, leaving that as a ko. Okay, let's see. He actually also mentioned that, now I've never seen this one before, but black can even hane here if he wants. Now, of course, we have to pull back, and white gets a ladder here. But the idea is black can play here. And white settled pretty good up there, but black's pretty happy about the lower left. So that could be possible too. P16. Oh, you want to do this type of thing? Yeah, this is kind of a typical vulgar Q move, and I don't mean that to insult you, but it's just straightforward, right? It's like push even though you're making a bad shape, and then cut. At this point, white's going to decide which stones are more important, right? So probably the B stone's not as important. So we'll just use it. And then we'll hane here, still Aji in the corner. So maybe you play here. And the right side did get bigger, but you can notice that white easily breaks the area he wanted to get into, right? Why would you play Q17? Oh, you're right. We don't have to play there, do we? There's just a clamp. So where for black then, Bell? Like here maybe? Really? Clamp doesn't work? I haven't even taken the time to read this. What do you mean by it doesn't work? R17. Oh, you mean in the sense that it's not going to help you get I shape. It works in the sense of endgame, right? Okay, yeah. I agree with that. So maybe we should just stop here. And just see that white got a lot of help, right? So that's sort of what black's trying to avoid because the top is a big area. But sometimes you can play like that, actually. So if a vulgar move works, it's good, right? But in general, it's probably not the best. Okay, so in any case, this is kind of an interesting move, and I've been mostly playing it lately, because it sort of forces white to play a specific spot, which is here, right? If we do anything else, this shape would just be too strong for black, and there would be nothing left for white to do. So white is sort of forced to play here. And then, believe it or not, black can actually extend here. Even though it looks really thin, like in this area, white actually can't do A, for instance. You can try that out. It actually doesn't work. So white would have to Hane, show us. I'm going to leave it for your homework. Black connects, and now there's a cut here or there's a connection, right? So I'm going to clone. So if white connects at A, then black can play B, right? And then everything will be connected. So in this case, white plays down. Yeah, I'll go back in a second, Merrick. So black gets to cut. He gets these two stones, right? So we sort of lost the A stone. It still has Aji, but the top got much higher, right? Our position went from being a third line position all the way to like a sixth line position. Didn't get it. You tried really hard, Vincent. So let me go back here just so Merrick can see it. Actually, maybe let's just do it. I actually haven't even studied this either. I just took Mr. Yang's word for it. Maybe I'm a bad student. But black's got to play here, right? That's pretty clear. Okay, so now what's white going to do? If we do this sort of way, it's going to be the same sort of thing, right? Either cut or connect. So, you know, if you play there, I can just connect. If you play here, I can just cut. So that's not going to work. So that one's not going to work. So now we need to try this. P13. P13. P13? Oh, wait, P13. Still just connect. I'm confused. So, got your reduction? In a sense, yeah. Okay, so how about here? See, the problem is I don't think white can do anything to capture this A stone. That's a problem, right? So we can try this sort of thing, like where we try to create a double threat. But black can just play here and nothing's going to happen. So yeah, so that's why white can't really do A anyway. So it's an interesting move. So if this happens in your game, you can try it out. It works out pretty decently for black. Okay, so we end up in this position. And I'm going to try it. Okay, cool. We'll see what your opponents do. So now black decides to reduce the right-hand side. Oh man, she could give me 4 stones and probably kill them all. So black jumps up. This is a really calm way of reducing, right? Probably all 4 of them, yeah. So raising the bottom and also reducing the right-hand side and threatening to maybe do something on the right-hand side, right? Yeah, are you saying preparing this, right, Vincent? Yeah, good instinct. So white actually plays here to defend. It might look a little slow, but it's pretty big, right? The right-hand side is a really nice area, and it's stronger now. And so let's take a look. So this is a good instinct. Kitani says this actually isn't the problem move, though, but still I think it's good instinct, Vincent. He thinks that if black plays like this, white can just play like this and fight. So he doesn't think that this is a particularly big deal. But there's something else that he thinks is a bigger deal. What happens if black plays here and white connects? I beat you to it. Black pushes. White's going to have to take the 3-3 if he wants to keep him dead. Now black can jump. White's got to take the Tiger's Mouth Vital Point. Now where next? Next move's important. Good, Jay. S8. So now there's A and B Miai. So this is too hard to kill. I'm not retarded. Right, so black would be able to live. So, but if you do something like this, it's still black's gonna live, right? So that's why he played here to begin with. Otherwise, it would be a headache to try and keep that area. Right, we don't want to like, obviously we're not going to do something like this, right? He tries to fix it in a forward way. Notice that in a sense this is a shoulder hit on the A stone, right? So that means in a sense black is encouraged excuse me, to respond to this. Otherwise white has some nice follow-ups. Let me read what Bell said. Felt more insulted than praised. Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so let's see, what was next? All right. This move, I kind of liked Kitani's. I don't know if it was just this particular game or it was just Kitani, but he really kind of was critical about some of the moves, just a couple of them. Whereas most of the reviews we've seen so far, there haven't really been any mistakes pointed out by the pro commentators. But this move he didn't really like. First thing is he said white's too strong over there for this to really have much of an effect on white. The second thing is it doesn't really raise the top as well as we might like because white finds this really nice invasion point right here, right? So we're going to try and use the Liberty shortage on the A stones and use our Aji stones and use our strong position, right? This is a really nice place to invade. So he didn't really like this C move. It looks somewhat natural, but it just didn't work out so well. So he suggested black should just play this vital point we talked about earlier. This makes this position really strong, right? And we have to compare it with this. If this happens, suddenly we're getting all low, right? Oh, you said e5 is huge. Great, great, Vincent. Yeah, so this one's really important. It makes the whole bottom, high. And what's more, this A is really getting to be a problem, right? So I don't know how white can fix A and deal with the bottom at the same time. So Kitani suggested that move, but Shusaku played here. Right, it's hard to do the top in one move, so maybe it's better not to do that for now. So white comes in. And of course, black's got to try and separate. White Hanes to keep maximum pressure on these guys and use this A stone. Black actually doesn't continue locally for now. He can, but he doesn't do it right now. For now, he does this. Remember, I was talking about how both sides are encouraged to play at B. So he pushes here first to stop white from pushing. So this raises the bottom and also pushes against the left a bit. I mean the right. Now white plays a move that I would never think of, and even after seeing it, it's still kind of difficult to figure out. I think I could give you guys like 50 guesses and you would not get it. That's how just off the wall this move was. Oh, 15. Not quite. He plays here. How about that? Somewhat interesting. Even with Kitani's analysis, this was a little difficult for me, but it has to do S16. Wow, that's close, but it's a little aggressive. Um, okay, well, obviously this threatens to reduce the corner later, right? Yeah, see, Bell's strong. Um, so on points, of course, it's big. But the other thing is that there's Aji here with this A stone, and there's a situation over here, right? This situation in the center. And once black starts getting strong around the B area, there's actually some bad Aji. And I'm going to try to show that in a second. We'll see if I can actually succeed in that. I'm not sure. Um, for now, let's just say this is a really solid move that is big on points, and it's also reducing the Aji in white's area. So that means he can fight stronger with the B stone. Aji has to do with Hane and cut. We'll see it. We'll see later. N12. N12. Yeah, this would be more of the type of move I would find, Vincent. So I'm sort of on the same page with you, but that doesn't mean it's right. That just means that's the difference between me and the stronger player. Right. So this isn't as practical in terms of value, right? This is like total value. Like you can't argue that this is value. So I pass. Great. That's funny. I pass. So black actually still leaves this thing going on here, and he decides to try and grow the bottom. And he tries to do it like this. What do you guys think? Any problem with this? It's actually surprised me a lot. This game was a little rough in general, maybe. That's the question, though. Is it a strong stone? Because there's a 3-space gap here, and black is pretty strong nearby. So I don't think C6 is strong enough. Yeah, I think it's touching a weak stone, but he does it anyway. Let's see what he does. And he pushes, and now white comes in with the shoulder hit, and then jumps. Nice. And black caps. So this is where we end up, okay? So keep this diagram in your mind. This is just the attacking move. I think if you play closer, you'll probably give some attachment stuff, right? So in this case, actually being a little softer might be more difficult on white, and you've drawn the line, right? Okay, but let's go back. And Kitani said modern style would still be here, right? This is the vital point we've been talking about. And now if white comes in, we can do the same thing. If you want to do e6, you're giving it away though, right? Okay, you strengthen this, but you're making it less sure that you can do anything on the bottom. So black probably likes that trade. So let's see here. So Kitani says black will still play like this, except he thinks this fighting is harder for white. And why is that? Because the left side is not strong for white yet. So you have to deal with these two stones, and you have to make do with the fact your square stone is weak. So this is harder, right? This is probably more difficult. So this is probably the more correct way to do this instead of touching first. Um, and yeah, I'm a little surprised that he played like this because we've seen many examples of the proper way from Shusaku in past games. So this is a little, it's not like he didn't know that. So it's a little unusual. Maybe he had a particular reason for it. Maybe this was proper. Okay, so white is trying to settle this. That's true. They did tend to play fun games with each other. Black fixes this up in Sente. I'm sorry, Merrick. There's just so many people join these things now. I'm famous now. It's hard to keep track of all the comments. So let me go back. If you complain enough, I'll eventually see it. E6 for black, not white. Oh, like this. It's a little thin though, right? So, probably don't need to play like that. You could try it though, but yeah, it feels a little greedy. Like if you play here, it's just more solid. So it's probably actually harder on white. Whereas this is something your opponent can really use. Okay, anyway, we get to here, and now, yeah, this game just really surprised me a bunch. Black decides not to attack these three stones anymore, believe it or not. Um, or maybe, I guess a better way to put it is that he goes for kind of like a double attack. He plays here now, which ends up making two weak groups. So maybe that's his plan. Kitani thinks that if black just plays here right now, white can push and play here. Kitani thinks white will leave the A-B exchange for later, and that white is almost settled already. So maybe this is a little too early. So he's going to leave that for now, and he's going to start something else. So let's see what happens. White cuts. Why remove Aji from the three stones? Which three stones? Anzen? H4. What do you mean remove Aji? What would be removing Aji from them? I see. So you're sort of echoing what I was saying. Yeah, so Black's going to wait and see how to handle it. Good, so he does this, and so now we've got two things, right? So this is his plan. Two weak things going on here. White's got to help these guys, so he Ataris from this direction. Still, he's got to help these guys. Now, normal shape here would be to extend, but we can go a little faster, right? So let's use this Atari so we can jump a little quicker. Okay, so we get into this situation, and clearly black is controlling the center of the board, and there's two weak groups here. Now that we've seen this, let's try to go back to here and understand this move. Let's see if I make any sense at all here. So let's pretend white doesn't play there, and let's do the same sort of thing locally. Okay, so the thing is here, there is pretty bad Aji here. Like just for example, if you Hane and white answers, black can play here, and there's not really anything you can do to stop it, right? Because the shape is terrible. Like if you Hane here, that's Sente, right? So like if you connect, that's Atari, and that captures. So that doesn't work. If you play here, then that's like triple Atari. Triple Atari, never said that before. So that doesn't really work. And in the same way here, it doesn't really work because this is a forcing move. So there's just Aji there. There's bad Aji. So White's move was pretty interesting. And even if you try to play here, I think it still has problems. So that's basically what he was planning for. Yeah, there's problems in there for sure. So let's get back to the real game. White makes sort of a probe here, asking, are you going to respond at A and leave a potential cutting point? Or are you going to respond at B, which leaves me a nice push at A? Black responds here to stay connected, but that leaves white A, so he actually tanukis now and helps this group. Kitani says this is a pretty bold move. White must be confident that he can handle this group on the bottom. So black takes that vital point away. And then white jumps. Nice shape here. This is called the horse head, I believe. And white is breaking out of the line, right? This is our line. So normally we don't like to touch, but we got to try and draw that line. White stones become more and more insulting to me. Eric takes it personally. And it seems like white's doing all right here. Yeah, let's see what happens here. So black Hanes. And what I was expecting here is I was expecting to see a push through at A, like almost like a driving Tsuji, right? And actually black can do that, but Kitani said that would be, what was the word he used? I guess a translation of whatever he said was that it would be trivial. So black plays here in Sente, and now that's really threatening to come through. So white has to connect, and now we have a real attack, right? Completely surrounded. So that's what black does. Let me show you the other option. This would be the other option to push through. And black can get 3 stones here, but this capture is trivial. And now white has Sente to handle the A group, right? So that would just be throwing the game away essentially. So instead we get to here. Isn't M10 Sente? M10. Yes, it is. We're going to see that soon. So he attacks, goes after the shape, and this also potentially is going to raise the top, right? White actually attaches rather than doing this one. Oh man, that was a misclick. That would have been bad if I did that the first time. Ruined my beautiful tree. The tree. Okay, so white got some help, and A is still going to be Sente, so that's good. Okay, now here is where Kitani came up with another criticism. Black played here, and he said it's too aggressive. Jay's even more aggressive than Shusaku. Yeah, he played here, and Kitani thinks it's too aggressive because what ends up happening is white lives and he basically destroys like most of the top while he's living. We're going to see that. No spoilers, sorry. Um, so this doesn't turn out that good. So he thinks that, right, he thinks black should do this, take this area, let white live, and now take Sente and just, try to win the game on points. He thinks it's a good, close game like this. So, but he goes for the throat. I really think these guys were just like really good friends or something. I don't know why. The games have a different quality to them. They play a little crazy. Okay, so where did white play here? Here, right? Because that's where black should have played. Yeah, it just doesn't feel as stable, as solid, or as highly calculated as most of the Shusaku games we see are. Um, Normally he doesn't go for the throat if he doesn't need to. It's just not really his style. Then again, like I said, this was 2 years after the previous game we saw, so maybe, I don't know, maybe he's just changing right now. You never know. So black keeps going for the throat here. He just got to Shusaku level, yeah. Puberty. White gets a nice attachment here. Kitani points out that this move is nice style. Um, Black defends here. Kitani thinks that black is probably tempted to play here, right, to try and put some pressure on the left-hand side, but that leaves too many forcing moves, so he tries to keep it nice and strong. Now white gets to play here. Well, not really ko, because if white does A, we could come through with B, but there's definitely ko-ish stuff there for later. Black keeps coming in. These are some real Shusaku Kosumis here. Okay, so we're getting rid of the eyes. Of course, that gives white some forcing moves. It makes America's getting so mad. Let's see, where was next? Don't want to suddenly screw up the tree. So now we bulge here. So now we are threatening to come through, right? So black's got to stop that. And he does. Now white plays a nice contact here, putting pressure on this single stone. How do we respond to this? This is an easy question, but which direction? Right, tiger's mouth, vital point. So we got to do that. Now white gets this. Black captures. White plays here. It's not alive yet, but it's getting close. Not yet, because this is Sente. And that means that this is a possibility, right? Now Ruckus will play L15 immediately here, guys. And then it's going to be up to you to figure out how to live. And it's not easy either. So, but Shusaku doesn't do that. Don't worry. Let's see, where does he play actually? Yeah, good point, Kago. M10 is there. I'll show that in a second. Where did he play? He Atari'd here. Let's take a look at this M10. Yeah, there's this, and you don't have time to remove this eye, right? Because then the 4 stones will get captured. But the thing is, there's this move, which fixes this and also gets ready to like completely destroy the right-hand side. So white doesn't want to resort to making this eye unless he absolutely has to, right? Because then we're going to get into this sort of thing. So that could be kind of rough. So Atari's here. Now white knows that this is the problem spot. So he goes to try to defend that. And I'm assuming that if black comes here directly, the problem is probably going to be something like, Kitani actually didn't show this, but I think, let's see, how would we do this? This is probably a problem for Yellow Bell to figure out for us. Maybe this sort of thing? Not really working, right? Because this isn't going to work. So that didn't work. This is why it's hard to play against Ruckus, guys. Yeah, so I'm not actually sure because Kitani didn't show a diagram for this. So I'm wondering, where does white get the other eye? Maybe, I guess we can always do the M10 thing now. Okay, let's see, what is Anzen saying? M15, L16, N16. Okay, but what does that do for us? Now connect, maybe? That does pose a problem. He can just go this way though, right? It's interesting. The three things I see here are the IG of the A stone, potential attacks against the triangles, and then threats to get these two things. So like to possibly get an eye here, right? So that's what I'm anticipating needs to happen here. What about the ko at N10? N10. Ko. There's no ko there, but we can just make an eye here if we want. But I'm trying to see if we can without that. N10, O10, O9, P11. We don't want to do P11. But this isn't ko because, yeah. Okay, let's see. I'm only going to try a couple more of these and then we're going to move on. Let's see. M15, L16. Am I being trolled? O14 is not on the board, and if you mean O15, I am banning you, Merrick. This one, you want to play here? N15, that's already on the board too. N14. Well, what's that? What are you accomplishing? That could be problematic. But I still don't see an eye happening there. Okay, this is the last one. M15, L16, N16, O16, H17. Ah, that's good. Yeah, this is the sort of thing that I was envisioning. So now the question is, probably white's going to get to play A or is going to get to connect and attack these guys. So let's see what happens. We're trying to kill white, right? So we got to do this. White will connect. And we can't really do this because that is cut. So then we have to try this sort of thing. Does that work? Oh, L18. Cool. So that may or may not be exactly what the two players had in mind, but at least we can see the IG. Okay, M18 instead of M18, L18. Oh, you sneaky guy. Then what do we do? Yeah, it looks kind of like a code, doesn't it? Clamp. So you want to play here? So that's co. It's hard to kill this kind of group with a co. What about this? There's this too. So, okay, we're getting like really deep into this. Oh, we've been an hour already. Okay, so in any case, so black played that Atari. And now white's got to defend over here. And black goes for the poke. And white's going to still keep trying to live, obviously. Here's pretty interesting. Black plays here to give like a Hane at A and also to connect over to B. Yeah, maybe it is. White gets to attach. At this point, black or white's pretty alive because, you know, the I and the A area, and then we've got the B thing, and now we also have something happening on C. So black comes over here to try and fix this thing, right? So no more I at A. And white says, okay, I got to do this then. And black says, okay, you're not necessarily alive yet. And I get to destroy this. Yep, this is the real game. Beautiful, clean tree. Strange black, no M18. At which point? After 018. Well, I think it's because, oh, wait a second. Yeah, this is another puzzle. There's actually a lot of aji here that I'm going to show later, and I think it applies to this situation. So wait on a bit. It's kind of crazy. It's stuff I would never have found if it wasn't in a diagram. So in any case, black gets to destroy this. It's really pretty crazy. White plays this Hane. Black backs off. This actually allows white to do some cool stuff in the end game that kind of hurts for black. But black doesn't want to do this because he still is aiming at white's eye shape. It's not quite alive, although it's probably going to live. We don't want to help it live. So we do this, and a lot of you probably noticed that our corner got weak when black came through, right? So gotta defend. So he does that. Black's gonna keep squeezing the corner. White fishes for some forcing moves here. This is pretty interesting because he's actually, hold on a second. Never mind, that eye's already gone, right? So he doesn't care about doing that much. He wants to get a little extra help here with this A move, right? Threatening to cut through. And then he threatens to connect. And now black decides that he wants to see what he can do against this A group. So he tests here. And this is actually super complicated. But when white connects here, he's essentially alive. So the question is, what if we capture here? If we capture here, white will Atari back and aim at, either taking A back again or capturing the 3 stones on top. And now at this point, black can't really kill white, although it's really hard to see. There actually is a sequence that's Ko, but I'm like 200% sure it's not the one you're reading. But we'll see that in a second. M16. So black says, okay, I can't kill you. Where does he actually play though? Give me a second. I have to remember where. He actually plays. Oh no! You know what I think it is? I think I broke the tree from earlier. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's not good. And the question is, where did I do that? Oh man, so obvious. I forgot. He pushed here first. I literally just broke it like one step before without realizing. He did that in Sente first, then he played here. Oh, look at us. Now we're going off on this little sub branch. So sad. Okay, so from here, white's alive, so black plays here. So let's try to kill white. First, we would play here because that, kills this area and it's Sente. Then we would play here because that threatens to cut through. And 16. And the idea would be this sort of thing. But the problem is white has a nice Tsuji here. Like if you play A, he's just going to pick up one stone with B, right? So you got to connect. And now I wonder, can you find the next move? N16. You can do N16, but I don't see a purpose to it, and I think it might actually hurt a little bit. Nice, Keigo. Yeah, M19. This is actually somewhat reminds me of that one sequence in your game just now with Starstorm. This first line move sets up a squeeze, right? Because now if we get to connect, then we got our eye, right? We got 1, 2. So if he cuts, where do we go now? Good, yeah, H18. So the first line move is important because it's what allows us to actually push in here. So lame. Yeah, so that's that. Now, black could also try this one, but white can play here. Again, this is Sente to get an eye, so black would have to remove that. And then we can do the same sort of thing. And then we can play here, Sente for an eye. And then we can play here. Black can't connect, he has to capture. And this is the ko that Merrick was reading, guys. So it's pretty hard to kill this group. No, he wasn't. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think he did. So instead, oh wait, I forgot. That's not the real branch. Okay, this is the real branch. So he jumps into the corner. White wants to try and keep that. I'm like off on this one now. Black tries to keep the bottom. And I'm not quite sure the purpose of this move. This is another question mark for me. Why does white play here? Maybe this is just additional Aji since he knows that his group is a potential ko. So he plays here. Black ignores it to play a big move. That Hane is really big, actually. White gets to take. Black gets to play a ko threat here. And then white plays a nice threat here. The bottom gets really, really interesting. Play like this. Black connects. And now this situation gets interesting. There's a lot more going on here than it looks. There's like Aji over here, right? Around those stones where you can get forcing moves. There's something at B, there's thinness at C, and then there's the D stones that are weak. So there's more happening here than it looks like. Black tries to push anyway, and Kitani wasn't sure or not if black missed something here because white finds something good here. First, he plays here to use this Aji to strengthen himself in Sente. And then he plays here, which is a really nice move. And this is the one that Kitani said perhaps perhaps black overlooked this. So let's see what's happening here. Black actually Ataris here. And you may expect white to play A, but he actually has a better move. He plays here, which is threatening these guys. So black actually has to respond, and then he gets to capture these. So that was pretty nice. Let's go back and try to examine this Aji more thoroughly. If black connects, white can play here, and now there's seriously some problems here. All Kitani said was that the continuation would be very difficult. I'm not really sure that black can save everything here or not. It's hard to say what's going to happen here. We could try it out if anyone wants to like pick a move for black. M4. Wedge. Okay, let's see. It seems like we have to go from this side. L5? Really? Oh, L5. Oh, yeah, that's simple, isn't it? So now where? P7. Oh my goodness. Oh, because you want that Atari, you clever little guy. Hmm. This P5 is your Sente. Yeah, I'm debating between N3 and O4. Let's try this. You're probably gonna Atari now? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, Jay. I think so, right? You're gonna play here, and maybe it will end up like this. I think black's still not alive yet. And then there's the bottom. R5. S5. Look how complicated this is getting. So I guess Kitani was right. It's really difficult, right? Ruckus doesn't know anything else but difficult. He's got an abundance of fighting spirit. So that's one thing. And are you saying you would take here? Is this what you meant? I think that's what you meant. This is really dangerous because this seems this is Sente. And now I connect. You want to save those guys. How did this work? Just like this, right? So really dangerous. So that's why both of them kind of, black kind of took it easy there because he knows he's got the Aji. Wouldn't black give up the 2 stones? Okay. Like this? Maybe you can do something like that and then resign right after. No, you've done some good moves today, Jay. Okay, so white gets to capture. Black plays here. This is obviously big. And then he comes in here. He's trying to threaten these guys. But white actually ignores him um, to play a big move of his own, which is here. Remember, white never... YOLO indeed. So black gets to do this, but white has this. And Atari, so he just barely gets to connect under. It's not pretty, but it's connected. Some endgame stuff here. Black presses this down, takes his Sente capture, and does a big Hane and connect. It's really big. Okay, let's see. What was next? White actually still uses this Aji really well. This, he does some really cool stuff here. So black answers that for now. And oh, I'm sorry. I've lost all respect for the tree. He doesn't answer it here. Yeah, once it's broken once, I just continue to break it. He actually answers it here. Because there's still Aji for this whole thing to get separated, so he just goes to threaten to live with these guys. We'll see why soon. So there's still the Aji around this B stone. Yeah, threaten to live. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Now, if I wasn't paying close attention, I would just miss this, but there's still really bad Aji here. Where for white? There's a nice Tasuji here. It may look like a stupid move or a pointless move, but it's actually quite good. Actually, this cut is working. Can you believe it? Black has to play here because if he does anything else, for example, like that, we can just get this one, right? So he has to play here. And white gets to play here. And now there's a problem. Black plays here, which lets white do this. Black captures these guys, and white captures those. So that was pretty big for white. Let's see why he did that. Yeah, white p3. So if black plays here, there's this move, and it seems like you can't kill white now because of these Sente moves. Yeah, why not N3? That was my question too. And there wasn't a diagram for this, so I tried to figure it out. And it was really difficult, that's all I'll say. So let's try and figure it out again together. Do you see it? I think I saw something here. Like if you throw in... Wait, that's not right. Sorry. Now, of course, I'm ignoring the ko. So let's pretend this is a ko fight the whole way. This is one of the things I found, but let's go back and see what Bell said, because it probably makes a whole lot more sense. Okay, just do N4 first. Okay, and now we'll, obviously this is ko, but let's play like this. So same thing? Yeah, I think you need to throw in now, right? Or do you just not need it? Oh, duh, because you can just Atari. Okay, cool, yeah. So you don't need that throw in. Oh wait, I keep trying to go back to the main branch. Oh, sad days. Okay, this is the main branch. Yeah, so black had to do this and ended up like that. So that was cool. Black Atari's here and probably would expect white to answer, but now he gets to do his cool stuff in the top right, says me. Where next here for white to Suji? This goes back to, remember, black didn't play A. Yeah, we have this now, right? So now we have A, B, Miai to connect. So black plays here, and he's got a capture to live. White plays here to take these points. Black captures. So he scooped the corner out in Sente. Remember H12. Yeah, what about it? I'm confused. True, possibly, yeah. It's kind of like a big dream, but yeah, there's IG like between here. That's not a real I. There's IG here, etc. Okay, so let's see, what was next? Oh, right. So then we get back to here. How do we answer this one? Are we gonna P4? Right, Atari. And now let's do, oh, I want to say one Don or weaker, but I think that's so mean because I think that just means everyone except Bell. So everyone except Bell. Do we need to play another move here as white? Or not? No. Yes. No. Yes. Okay, for those of you that say yes, where will black play if we don't? T5. I think some of you have it and some of you don't. So white connects. Okay, let's see what Ruckus says. T7, T6, S5, T5, T3. Q4? Probably not Q4, but yeah. Yeah, the key throw in is actually this one, but you're right. You need both of them. So good. So throw in once, throw in twice. And now the other ones you guys were saying there's actually a problem if you don't throw in. Like if you just play here, now you can't do anything, right? You're gonna have trouble now. So there's no way to actually capture. You can throw in at T9. Yeah, but T9 doesn't, does it do anything? Yeah, it doesn't do anything. So you have to get the T5 one. Because T5 in a sense is, or no, S5 is removing your approach move. Okay, so he answered. Okay, let's see. All right, so black wants to get this, and white wants to protect. Black protects, and now there's another cool like Tsuji awesome problem happening on the top. So let's see what happens here. White plays here. He says, are you going to let me connect, A or B? So of course black has to say no. I can play here. So this turns into a ko, right? The game is so close now that if white just backs off, he'll definitely lose. But there's another really cool sequence here that Kitani showed. He said maybe white could think about playing here, right? A, B, mi. And in this case, if black Ataris, we can actually connect because there's still this A, B, mi. And there's only one move that stops both of them. And ko? How ko? Oh, F19. Interesting. That probably would be ko, huh? But there's this disgusting move here that actually blocks both, in a sense, but not really good because the liberty shortage. So white will hane, and he'll say, are you going to really stop me? And then if white stops him, he'll just play here. And now you can't come through, so these guys would be lost. So black would have to let him connect under. And Kitani thinks, he said maybe it'll be a jigo. Okay, let me show that. So the thing is, like if A, then B, if B, then A, and this is just an ugly shape move that sort of fixes both of them. What if F19? G18. Oh, go like this. Yeah, so there's a bunch of, it seems like there's a bunch of choices here, right? True, white captures first. And this one looks, oh, interesting. You're asking about this, I guess. Not ko? Oh, duh. So what's happening here then? What did Kitani miss? Maybe H19 first, then E19. Well, I don't know that that works. H18. Oh, you meant this. So why doesn't this work? Interesting. G17. Ah, nice. So in this case, we're removing the ko because that's an Atari. Or we're making it a ko, rather. You can't do this anymore. So the question is, yeah, what about something else? Here you just lose all your points, I think. What a fantastically complicated game. And now I have to find the real tree again. Here we go. Okay, so this is, wait, no. This is how they played. So now we're just going to see a ko. I'm weak enough that when you guys suggest stuff, I can't defend Shusaku's moves. That's the problem. Okay, so ko threat here. Let's see, black's first ko threat was here. Where was white's next one? Here. Bunch of ko threats on the right side. I believe white went after these guys now. I was beating a person. Good job. No mercy. Here's a ko threat. Oh man, I am such a failure today. Yeah, I missed one. This is my first time messing up the order of ko threats. Ah, what did I do? I missed this one. This one first. Yeah, I could have just switched the order. See, yeah, see, it is a birth of a new tree. It's a circle of life. Okay, so this is how it actually went. And now white was running out of threats. But he plays here, Atari on 3 stones, and black says, okay, you can have 3. So that tells us he's confident of winning, right? Because white gets to have 3, but then black gets this. So he won the ko and he got this. So that's not too bad. Throw in the corner, reduces the points there. Atari and connect. White wants to make sure there's no B9 Aji. Yeah, that is a Panuki forest. Black captures in the corner. Just pretty small moves at this point. Protect the M2 point, possibly make an M5 point. Sente. Remove white's point. Okay, where now? Sente. Atari. Sente. Broken, what are you talking about? Is it really? Are you like following along with the Kifu and something else is broken? Because I think it's good. Oh, broke the forest. Okay, good. Play here. Yeah, you're really keeping me on my toes. Let's see. I think here connect and white picks up another point here. Black captures here for a point. E9 black sente. E9. What do you mean? And white connects. Now this is the Kifu, and this was the end. There must be some mistake or something, or I don't know why the Kifu didn't show white playing at A, but I'm assuming white plays at A. Black won the game by only 1 point. So are they? Interesting. I didn't really know that. Like I know for Dame they're normally like that, but this seems like it's still a point. So a bit of a strange game. Even all the games we've gone through, this one had like a different feel to it than what we've seen so far. Um, Somewhat interesting though. We saw some stuff that Kitani felt like Shusaku made some questionable moves or choices, which isn't really typical. But still a fun game. Opening was interesting. 5 4 points, 5 3 points. Um, and the two weak groups in the center, right? That was cool. White seemed to handle both of them quite well, but Black ended up being able to destroy the right-hand side. Yeah, Kitani not Shusaku level. That's probably debatable. In any case, that was fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me see the next game. The next game is another game against Ota Yuzo from the same year. Yeah, and that'll be the last game before we get into the castle games. That'll be exciting. I want to see how the castle games are. Those will probably be a little more serious. Cool. All right. Thanks everyone for joining, and I'll see you on Saturday.